Yesterday had been even worse, an entire meadow withering, skeletons rising from the earth. Reyna wasn't anxious for that to happen again. "Drink something." She offered him a canteen of unicorn drought, powdered horn mixed with the sanctified water from the little Tiber. They'd found it worked on Nico better than nectar, helping to cleanse the fatigue and darkness from his system with less danger of spontaneous combustion. Nico gulped it down. He still looked terrible. His skin had a bluish tint, his cheeks were sunken. Hanging at his side, the scepter of Diocletian glowed an angry purple, like a radioactive bruise. He studied Reyna. "How did you know that surge of energy? How did you do that?" Reyna turned her forearm. The tattoo still burned like hot wax. The symbol of Bologna, SPQR, with 4 lines for her years of service. "I don't like to talk about it," she said. "But it's a power from my mother. I can impart strength to others." Coach Hedge looked up from his rucksack.
"Seriously? Why haven't you hooked me up, Roman girl? I want super muscles."
Reyna frowned. "It doesn't work like that, Coach. I can only do it in life and death situations, and it's more useful in large groups. When I command troops, I can share whatever attributes I have. Strength, courage, endurance, multiplied by the size of my forces." Nico arched an eyebrow. "Useful for a Roman praetor." Reyna didn't answer. She preferred not to speak of her power for exactly this reason. She didn't want the demigods under her command to think that she was controlling them, or that she'd become a leader because she had some special magic. She could only share the qualities she had already possessed, and she couldn't help anyone who wasn't worthy of being a hero. Coach Hedge grunted.
"Too bad! Super muscles would be nice!"
He went back to sorting through his pack, which seemed to hold a bottomless supply of cooking utensils, survivalist gear, and random sports equipment. Nico took another swig from the unicorn drought. His eyes were heavy with exhaustion, but Reyna could tell he was fighting to stay awake. "You stumbled just now," he noticed. "When you use your power, do you get some, feedback from me?" "It's not mind reading," she said. "Not even an empathy link. Just a temporary wave of exhaustion. Primal emotions. Your pain washes over me. I take some of your burden." Nico's expression became guarded. "Don't worry, kid. I'm not going to the line of the perimeter with alarms and snares. Plus, I'll be watching over you the whole time with my baseball bat." That didn't seem to reassure Nico, but his eyes were already half closed. "Okay, but go easy. We don't want another Albania." "No," Reyna agreed. Their first shadow travel experience together, 2 days ago, had been a total fiasco. Possibly the most humiliating episode in Reyna's long career. Perhaps someday, if they survived, they'd look back on it and laugh. But not now. The 3 of them had agreed never to speak of it. What happened in Albania would stay in Albania. Coach Hedge looked hurt.
"Fine, whatever, kid. Just rest. We got you covered."
"All right," Nico relented. "Maybe a little." He managed to take off his aviator jacket and wadded into a pillow before he keeled over and began to snore. Reyna marveled at how peaceful he looked. The worry lines vanished. His face became strangely angelic, like his surname D'Angelo. She could almost believe he was a regular 14-year-old boy, not a son of Hades who'd been pulled out of time from the 1940s and forced to endure more tragedy and danger than most demigods would in a lifetime. When Nico had arrived at Camp Jupiter, Reyna did not trust him. She'd sensed that there was more to his story than being an ambassador from his father Pluto. Now, of course, she knew the truth. He was a Greek demigod. The first person in living memory, perhaps the first ever, to go back and forth between Roman and Greek camps without telling either group that the other existed. Strangely, that made Reyna trust Nico more. Sure, he wasn't Roman. He'd never hunted with Lupa or endured the brutal legion training, but Nico had proven himself in other ways. He'd kept the camp's secrets for the best reasons, because he feared a war. He had plunged into Tartarus alone, voluntarily, defying the doors of death. He'd been captured and imprisoned by giants. He'd led the crew of the Argo II into the House of Hades, and now he'd accepted yet another terrible quest, risking himself to haul the Atheno-Parthenos back to Camp Half-Blood.